Hey YouTube, this is siniXster. As most of you know, Obama signed the NDAA into law on New Year's Eve day. This is a video about my girlfriend and I having our first experience with police harassment related to being truthers, and what might happen to all of us in the future now that we have no rights. My girlfriend is iChicaX4 on YouTube, aka Radchick on Facebook, and she does radiation research and mitigation on Fukushima and other related topics. And so the story goes, on January the 2nd, we had gone to the Army-Navy surplus store to scope out some items for our survival preparedness kit, which all of you should have, I might add, at this point. But at any rate, when we returned to her home, we decided to sit in the car and have a talk for a while. And this is where the fun begins. A few minutes into our conversation, I'd say it was about 10 minutes, we were sitting out there. We were surrounded by 5 cop cars and a total of 7 officers from 3 different precincts. And they continually harassed us for 2 hours. The reason for being there in the first place was totally bogus, an outright lie. At first they told me it was because of her, and then they blamed it on her daughter, and in the end actually arrested her 18-year-old daughter on a bogus charge. The whole thing was just absolutely insane. The following is an audio clip. Excuse me, pardon me, I do apologize, I have a cold, so it's a little hard to talk today, but at any rate, the following is an audio clip that is my portion of a radio interview on Down the Rabbit Hole with Popeye. The whole interview is an hour and 22 minutes long and can be found on YouTube if you want to watch it. It's titled Down the Rabbit Hole with Popeye, Radchick Gets Harassed by the Cops. And anyway, so without further ado, here is the audio clip from that portion. This is my end of what happened, at least a part of it anyway, so enjoy.
Steve Stars. What does it take to react to the impact? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm hanging out with Christina Consolo and Steve Stars. And right now, Christina's boyfriend has been kind enough to come on, and he's going to tell us his experience and what he went through, because like I said, you know, it's a collective experience, but they all had individual experiences with the cops, and that's what makes the story really weird. And you know, why some of the shady stuff that was going on was, you know, they would talk to one person and ask them one thing, and I know police do that, but usually they would still ask some of the same questions, and every time it was, oh, it's about this person, or it's about this person, or that person. So, you know, good to get different viewpoints. So, let's welcome him to the show. How are you? Say hello to the audience.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for having me on.
Let me ask you, when you were sitting in the car, I know you guys were talking about personal stuff. Were you super, like, they rolled up on you, you know, kind of like SWAT team style, you know, I know how they do it. Did they draw their weapons on you guys at all? I forgot to ask you guys that, or I forgot to ask Christina that earlier. Did they ever draw their weapons on you at all or anything like that?
No, there were no weapons drawn. Although they pulled up in Stormtrooper recon form. They didn't pull any weapons. And actually, the first officer that got out was next to my door, and my window was rolled down slightly, and I didn't roll it down anymore at that point, but he had asked me what was going on and what we were doing. Sitting in the car, I let him know we were just talking and asked him what was going on, and at that point he asked me for my ID, and actually it was in a jacket. My ID was in a jacket in the back seat, and so I had to step out of the car, and I thought at that point I was going to give him the run around a little bit, tell me my rights, and start asking him some questions, but I could feel right away the energy that was coming off of him. So I decided to go ahead and give him my ID. He looked at it for a second, and that's when I had, as Christina said, I asked him what was going on, if there was a problem. And as soon as I said that, he stuck his chest out, put his arms down by his side, his hand by his gun, and the next line out of his mouth was the cookie. And so I thought, oh, okay, I see where this is going. And quite honestly, I can't remember everything that was said at that point. I was a little taken aback. I didn't understand what was happening right away.
No, but, I know the feeling. I know the first time you have a run-in like this, next time you'll end up being more prepared. But the first time, it's always they always try to catch you off guard anyway, to screw with you.
Which
So
they did. Yeah,
they do. It doesn't surprise me that he chested up. See, obviously, they operate on this fear where they're everybody's a possible terrorist. And you see, as soon as you asked him a question, pretty much, and he didn't like what you said, and all of a sudden he had to rear up and put his hand on his gun like, I'm tough. I'm tough. I'm not afraid of you. I don't care if you know your rights. I'm tough. You know what I mean? Like, unprofessional, childish behavior.
Well, after he looked at my ID for a minute, and he asked a question or two, and then he said, well, we're not here for you. The problem was with her. And I thought, well, what's going on? First of all, I mean, the first thing that popped into my head was, well, we're sitting in a dark parking lot. There's a porch light maybe, 20 feet away from us, 30 feet away. Unless they had us surveilled previously, there's no way of knowing that she was sitting in my car. He couldn't even, there's no way that they could have told us, been able to tell that was her. So I knew right then and there that something was fishy. It wasn't just a normal, they saw us sitting in the car and, maybe they thought we were smoking weed or something and decided to pull in. Just happenstance. There was no way it happened that way. They
don't SWAT team. I mean, if they're looking for you for a reason, they SWAT team you like that. They come up, they roll up. But did they block the back of your car with one of the police cars? Like parked diagonally behind it so you couldn't pull out?
They parked. Well, I was backed in, but they did park. One parked to my on the driver's side, another one parked over on the other side, and then one in front. So yeah,
you weren't going anywhere. Yeah,
no, we weren't going anywhere at all.
And you're like, what the hell did I,
yeah.
did I blow a stop sign,
Right. And then after that, they pulled her out of the car and started talking to her, and I couldn't really hear everything that was being said. There was an undercover officer that was there. I wasn't too concerned with the other officers that were there. They were, aside from the one that had postured a little bit with me, he relaxed a little bit. The other officers seemed sort of relaxed, but there was an undercover officer that was there that we were getting. I mean, both of us talked about it afterwards. We both got the same feeling that he was really shady. He was definitely the leader of the pack. He was kind of sitting back, not really saying anything, just kind of watching what was going on, but at the same time, I could see he was really shifty. He was doing a lot of weird motions, and so he was definitely putting off some really strange vibes that once again we both picked up on after the fact. When we talked about it, after they pulled her out, and then once they got the daughter came down and they were talking to her. They took this 18-year-old girl. She's petite. 5 officers surrounding her, frisking her in the middle of a parking lot. I mean, it was just atrocious. I've had some experiences in my life, but never have I seen anything like that. I've seen it on TV, but come on. See, that was absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, living it is a complete different experience. I know what you mean.
Oh, I would have been horrified at that age, even as a male, for that to be happening. So I can't imagine how she would have felt, And as it went on, it just got stranger and stranger. The officer that ended up taking her in, we were standing outside. I was trying to keep her warm. Like you said, it was like 10 degrees outside. It was ridiculously cold. And this guy couldn't get a word out, maybe one word every 30 seconds. He's trying to tell his story or trying to, give us all this information on the law and blah, 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 blah. And he's saying one word, and they play on his computer for 20 or 30 seconds, and they say another word. He was just keeping us out there as long as he possibly could. And at that point, he had already called the Sterling Heights Police Department, where they were going to transfer her to, and they were supposed to let her over the radio. They were going to meet him there in 20 minutes. He sat there keeping us outside for another half an hour before he even left. And at one point, he had said something about that he was talking about her daughter to her and saying something about avoiding situations, and he says the long arm of the law, and he reaches his arm out, and as he's doing it, and the way he said it, it was unreal. He looks right at Christina, like, with these eyes that it was, I wanted to grip him up by his throat right there. It was,
I know what you mean, like, he looked at her like,
Exactly. Exactly.
I know what you mean, dude. And you know what? I give you a lot of credit as a man for having the wherewithal to control yourself and you know, not give a crap about his badge anymore and remove his arm from his body and stick it up his ass, because I know the exact feeling. I know what you mean. My
he
wife
knew what I was thinking. I looked him square in the eye. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I know what you mean, man. My wife is attractive, so I understand what happens when you get, you know, these seething dirtbag animals looking at her. And so you looked at him in the face and gave him like the stink eye and told him, you know, like
I glared at him and he kind of he looked back at me, but he didn't change his gaze at all. He you know, felt like he was in control of the situation. So you know, I just played it off as best I could. But you know, the more we talked about it, the more I thought about it after the situation was over, and especially when I heard later on, I had to be up for work early the next morning, so I was in bed, and she went to pick her daughter up, and so I didn't hear till the next day, you know, what had happened with the other police department. And you know, the more of them we started connecting the dots, it just got weirder and weirder. So I don't think it's over yet. I think it actually, for whatever it is, you know, whatever the reason behind it is, I think it's just getting started at this point. So,
did you get a chance to talk to the other police officers that came down to pick up Christina's daughter? Because I know she said that they had mentioned to her daughter, like, that the other cops were, you know, pretty much idiots or whatever. Did you get a chance to speak to them at all as well? Like, did you get that vibe off them?
No, I did not. I did not speak to them at all. I didn't know about any of that until after the fact.
So we got a few minutes before we go to break. So let me ask you this: do you think it's because of her work? Do you think Christina was tired of this intimidation from your point?
Quite honestly, and I've thought it over and over in my head, and I'm trying to be objective about it. But the more I think about it, and I'm not going to lie to you, I have, you know, a slight history with the police myself for some small issues, but they could have harassed me and got me going at any point and tried to, you know, take me down, and they didn't do anything. The whole situation makes no sense at all. And the more I think about it, the more I feel like it is related to something that has to do with that. Yeah. And once again, I'm trying to be objective about it and go, okay, well, maybe could it possibly be because of the daughter? But that is, for an 18-year-old girl, I mean, come on, it's just not going to happen. And especially, like she said, for a trumped-up charge from 7 months ago that you know, that other police department isn't even looking for her for.
You know, this is overkill, man. I mean,
right? No, it's way overkill.
Yeah, it's way overkill. So this was intimidation. I mean, from my you know, from my viewpoint, I would say intimidation. Steve, he feels the same way. We're going to get cut off by the break. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. This is the top of the hour break.
So there you have it, folks. Once again, that's just my portion of the interview. Look forward on YouTube. I'm going to put the link for the entire video down in the description box. And basically, the end result is, and what we're taking it as is, don't mess with us, don't say the wrong things, because we'll make your family disappear and make you disappear. So in a nutshell, be safe, folks. Take care. We'll talk to you soon. Peace and love, everybody.